When I make TikToks, I strive for perfection. Now, this is not one of those times. So, I'm going to talk to you about the sourdough. Maybe I need to stop this right quick. I don't know. I would like to try to do this all at once. Okay, I'm going to put this on YouTube so that when you get your sourdough starter, you can determine what to do with it. Okay, there are 2 jars. This is the mother. It's called the mother jar. It's the starter. And mine, I let it sit a little long, and it got what's called hooch on the top, and it's real pungent. It smells like alcohol. All sourdough is started with flour and water. And I'm not sure that process, I know what to do with it. I got my starter from somebody. You always name your starter when you get it. It's just a tradition, you don't have to, but mine's called Bamaw. Go figure. Okay, so you see this line? Once I feed this, and what I mean by that is I pour some of this into a bowl and put water and flour. I put a certain amount of this and a certain amount of flour, a certain amount of water, and the purpose is to refresh this and to make what's in this jar. And this jar is when you get that mixed up, you have what's called discard. Like you discard it, throw it away. Well, you're not throwing it away. You put it in this jar. And this immediately, the big one, goes in the refrigerator. And the one that you feed, you put back in here, it has to be, let me think how to put it. It has to sit on the counter, and you fill it up to here, and then it has to, you leave the lid just barely on there. If you don't, it could pop off. So, because it's combustible, it rises. So, it's not combustible. That was stupid. Anyway, it doubles. And once it doubles, then you put it in the refrigerator, and then it'll go back down to here. That's when I'm going to ship it. And I have never done the shipping but once, and I did it overnight to a friend of mine. And it survived, and she's making rolls and biscuits and pancakes. I don't know if she's made pancakes. Speaking of which, this is pancakes. And I mixed it up a while ago, and I've got a website that I'm going to send to you and or suggest to you, and it is the most fantabulous website, and you just follow along with it, and it will show you how to do this pizza crust, donuts, cookies, pie crust, this pancake. Just smelling of it makes me happy. It is so good. So, I want you to learn. Here are jars that I'm starting. See where the rubber bands are. It is not an exact science. As long as it's from here to here and you stick it in the refrigerator, you're good. Try not to let it run over, and then cap it down. Just barely sit the lid on it, then cap it down. I'm going to show you what I mean. Okay, so what you're going to have is a set of scales. Mine look kind of dirty, but I just got through using them. Bink, bink. And you put it on grams. Now I'm gonna stop it. I'll splice these. I'm gonna put it on YouTube, but I'm gonna show you what I mean by the way you measure it. So hold on. Not using that. All right. This is a set of scales, and you're going to need a set. I got these at Walmart. They were about $15. This puts it on the unit. This is on milliliters. I don't know if it'll show up. But you push this button, and it went to pounds. Push it again, it went to ounces. Push it again, and it went to grams. You want it on grams. And when you want to clear it, you use this. Now let me show you what I mean. Here's my little thing I mix mine up in. Now I'm gonna push this to clear it, and when you want to turn it off, you just hold down on it. Then you turn it back on. and make sure, always make sure that it's on grams. Okay, now what you do is you take the mother jar and you put in 100 grams of this into this bowl. So I'm going to stop it and I'm going to show you. Okay, before you do, you stir it. This is the one I said had hooch on it. And that is not, you know, a horrible thing. Just pour off the liquid and stir it really good. Okay, when you get it stirred up, you're going to pour 100 grams into here. All right, as you see, I went a little over. So I'm just going to pull some out, wrap it around, and put it back in this jar. I'm trying to do this with one hand, but that's okay. I mean, it just needs to be close. It is not, like I said, it's not an exact science, but now it's at 100. And I'm going to put my little stirring thing in there, and I'm going to clear it. Okay, so now we're going to put 100 of this and 200 of water, 200 of flour. So I cleared it, and make sure it's on grams. Sometimes it'll switch, and you will be miserable if that happens. So I'm going to get the water now. I've got my water ready, and I'm just going to start pouring it in. We want 200 of this. So when it starts getting in the 90s, slow down. Uh-oh, it went over. Now what do we do? Uh-oh. Get a paper towel and just stick it down in there. Now it's to 96, and I'm just going to squeeze some back in slowly till it gets to 200. There it is. Well, yeah, there it is. All right, now what you do is you stir that really good, and I'm trying to do this with one hand because I'm holding my phone instead of putting it on the tripod. But that's just the way I roll. Mix it up before you put the flour in. I feel it's ready. Now, clear this again, making sure it's still on grams. Okay, now you get your flour, and here's mine, and my little measuring spoon, and we're gonna do 200, clear it, what's going on? All right, now, you get 200 of the flour. It's usually 2 of these, and sometimes 3. It just depends on how full I get it. Well, that's 100. That's 150, so I guess it's about 4. All right, and now start going slower, 99. There. Now, you just stir this up really, really good. And I'm going to put my phone on the tripod to show you what to do, because I can't do this one-handed. All right, I'm working to fill this jar and get mine fixed back, because I need to keep mine. I got to have some. And so I'm going to use, see, it's kind of thick. And it doesn't have to be every bit of it. You know, some people are like, oh, there's lumps in it. It's fine. It will come out in the wash, I promise. That's just an old Arkansas saying. But now what I'm going to do is get this jar. I hope you can see it. You get this jar, and as nicely as you can, you just put some in this jar as close to the line as you can. Are you going to be perfect? No. Okay. See, I'm getting it everywhere. But hang on. Just don't despair. But this stuff, if you get it somewhere, as quickly as you can, clean it off. Because it's just like wallpaper paste. I'm not joking. I do like this. And check to see how close to the line it is. Don't try not to go over it, because then it'll spew over the top. But you see what it looks like? I just get a damp rag, and I already have one, and then I just kind of wipe the inside of the rim. Now, when it doubles, this is a clean rag, I promise. When it doubles, it's going to cover that up anyway, where it's on that there. So now I'm just going to set the lid on it and let it sit on the counter overnight. And in the morning, it should be up to here. Now I'm washing my hands off. Now the next thing I need you to know is what is left in here is generally called discard. And it goes in the jar with the other discard. I am going to put it in here, but instead of, because you see how that jar looks yucky. So what I'm going to do is I'm getting a clean jar. Get the big jar. You're going to have to get you a big jar. You'll use this jar every time. You can wash it out and reuse it. But I keep a couple of these for my discard so I can get it washed. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to get this and stir it up. And I'm going to pour it right in here. And it doesn't have to all be perfect. And you don't have to get every single drop. But this is the gold. This is what you do 90% of your cooking with sourdough with, is the discard. That's why I always double it. Some people, when they feed it, they do 50, 100, and 100. I did 100 and 200 and 200. You want to double the water and the flour to the ratio of this. So now I've got my stuff in there. And this goes in there with it. But instead of doing that, well, I'm trying to decide. I'm trying to decide if I want to risk having enough to do well, I'm just going to do this other jar. I have 2 people I'm going to try to mail this to. So that way I'm going to know how successful this venture is going to be. Because the sourdough did live when I sent it to the other person. But I overnighted it. I'm not. And listen, I need you to correspond with me. Let me know if it made it, if it lived. If it didn't, you just got a free jar. You know, nothing ventured, nothing gained. If this works out and people want it, I'm going to have to charge, because it's going to cost me to ship it. I'm not going to charge the first 2 people because it's an experiment. I would feel bad if you paid for it and it went awry. You know what I mean? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the rest of this. Then I'm going to stir up some more for me and my discard jar. But normally this and the rest of this, if this were my jar right here, then this would be discard and this would be discard. You know what I'm saying? So there's 2 ways to get discard. What's left over after you feed and what's left over in this jar after you measure it up and mix this up. So this is discard and this is discard. And it makes awesome stuff. But I'm going to try to put this in this jar for my other new friend and see if it will be enough. I'm going to mix up more. So if it's not enough, that's okay, because I'm going to make some more. All right, I don't think it is, but I'm going to get some. So while I mix up another batch to fill this up, I'm going to just turn this off, and I'll get back with you when I get it mixed up. All right, I just finished making another batch, and I washed my jar. And you don't have to get it perfectly dry. It's got water in it anyway. I'm going to finish filling up the jar for you. And then I'm going to pour some for me, because I definitely need some. If I'm going to send it to other folks, then I'm definitely going to need some. Okay, so there is the second jar. And I'm just leaving these lids, hang on, I'm just leaving these lids really loose. Then I'm going to pour some of this into my jar. Where's the mess? I usually make one by now. Okay, yeah, there it is. I knew it would happen. But that's just the way it goes. Okay. Now, I put the lid on lightly for mine. And you see what's left? It goes in the discard jar. So this is the discard jar. And this is, like I said, this is what makes the good food. And it fortifies, I guess you'd say, like when it gets the hooch on it, it kind of mellows it back down. And you need to feed your starter at least once a week. At least. And once you get this in the discard jar, you don't have to try to get it all. But, I mean, I do, because I make a lot of food for my neighbors. Like I made that pancake batter is for the man across the way, he and his wife. She had knee surgery not long ago. And if you follow me on TikTok, you probably heard me say that about the chicken and dumplings. But you just stir it up as much as you can. I used a mighty small spatula. It doesn't have to be perfect. All right. First thing you do is put this in the sink and run water in it. Because like I said, it turns into hard paste. And don't let it sit in your sink like the dough. If it gets in your sink on the side of it, rinse it off. All right. Now, this is my discard jar. And the first thing you do with it, I try not to make it look too horrible, because you put the lid on it. Don't leave the discard. Don't leave the discard sitting out. You don't want this to rise. You want this back in the refrigerator now. Okay, I only have a few more words to say about this. I mean, fix this. I was angling it down. You need unbleached all-purpose flour. It's not self-rising, it's all-purpose. Unbleached all-purpose flour. It doesn't have to be gold medal. There's something Arrow. It's a good one, as long as it's unbleached. You can also use wheat, but wheat tends to make little dark specks. I don't use I've used it once, and I like to have never weeded it out and made it the way I like it again. So you use that kind of flour. You let this sit out overnight. In the morning when it's risen, cap it down. See, I accidentally, no I didn't. You don't want these down. You want them loose. Okay, when you get it in the mail, when it comes to you, check what state it's in, because there's a rubber band. And what I'm going to do, I bought cold packs. This is why it cost me money, because I had to buy the jars, buy the rubber bands. I bought boxes to send them in. I bought bubble wrap and I bought cold packs to, and so the first couple of people's getting a real deal because I'm just testing this out to see if it works. When you get it, I'm hoping that the cold pack and the bubble wrap will insulate it enough to keep it from rising. If it's not risen but just a tiny bit, then go ahead and put it back in the refrigerator. But if it's doubled up again, well, even if it's doubled up, don't feed it when it's risen. Wait till it goes back down to the low state. When it goes back down to here, put it in the refrigerator and let it go back to the here. Then take it out and go through the steps that I showed you to feed it. And get you a discard jar. And I'm going to send you a website. And I'm going to try to figure out how to tell you what the website is. How to get it to you. If we're friends on TikTok, maybe I can find you. Well, one of you I know is on my messenger, so I can just send that through the messenger link. Most everybody that I send this to is going to have to friend me on Facebook so we can do messenger. And if you have problems, I can talk to you and tell you what's going on. But anyway, we're going to try this for now because my first victim that I sent it to, I sent her that link and that was it. She started cooking. She started feeding it and cooking and making cinnamon rolls and all kinds of stuff. So I hope you have that kind of success. But if you don't and it doesn't live, nothing ventured, nothing gained. I'm trying. I hope you will, and I hope you have fun. I love messing with sourdough. It is awesome. Makes the best pizza crust and pancakes, and homemade biscuits are so light. Okay, I'll hush. Anyway, good luck. Well, my husband ran me out of the kitchen. He wanted to watch TV. I don't blame him. But I did want to say one more thing. You can feed the starter every day if you want to. I doubt you're going to need to, but please don't let it sit in the refrigerator till it gets that much of the clear liquid on it, because that's a good way to ruin it. So do it at least once a week if you can. Even if you're not going to use the discard, throw the discard out. But do feed the starter jar every week if you can. Sometimes the hooch will get on there, and some of y'all are like, oh, hooch, whatever. That's what they call alcohol. The moonshiners used to call it hooch. And it has nothing to do with something bad. But anyway, if it gets too much of that on there, it's not good. So take care and try to feed it right. And if it doesn't live, I'm sorry. I tried.